Hello again, YouTube. Truth Man here. So, I want to get into talking about people who might be dealing with what is called loneliness. Whether you're a kid, whether you're an adult, it's still going to work the same. And it's still, to me, the same type of things that will keep you from experiencing this, or from, if you do experience it, it won't be as bad. So I'm gonna give you some pointers that I've never really experienced loneliness, because it's weird how when I was a kid, I knew not to use other people all the time and need other people. Like, I knew that. So the block I grew up on 19th and Hampton, and it was a lot of kids, both sides, went to school with them, so on and so forth. But I never relied on them. Like I told you, I always use my creativity. That's one of the first things we're going to talk about. We're going to get to that in a second. That I use my creativity to entertain myself. And like sometimes all the kids that I knew and that I was friends with, that I hung with, that I even was the ringleader, you might as well say, I still would be in the house playing video games, watching my cartoons. At night I used to watch Elvira. I used to like Elvira. Now I understand why I used to watch Elvira. Because Elvira used to try to look like she was some type of model, but she was so feminine. Like, she'd be switching, she'd be painting her nail, just all the feminine stuff. I thought she had a nice shape when I was a kid. So I would watch, like, even going into my adult years, I always had, like, TV programs, music, the stuff that I watched. And most of the time I watched it by myself, and I was entertained equally or more than I would have been if other people was around. Like, I used to watch wrestling. I'd go in the house back when NWA, when Ric Flair, Sting, all of them used to be on TBS, on cable back in the day. It was channel 17. I'd just go in the house, like, we'd be outside. I'd just leave, like, unannounced. And I would go in the house and watch wrestling and stuff like that. I had whole fake wrestling characters, and I used to write the matches. I could have been a script writer for wrestling easily. And then I had, here's that dry air again. I had a bunch of imaginary basketball players. Like, even to this day, when I play 2K, I like trading all the real players away and playing with created players and beating the real player. So I always use my creativity to entertain myself. And you say, but I'm not creative. Get creative. I don't care if you got to go buy some paint canvases and you don't even know how to paint. Be like, okay, I'm about to learn how to paint. And you just be in your apartment by yourself trying to paint. Or, I mean, there's so many things. This is why people be having pets too. I don't knock people for having pets, because pets are entertaining and loyal for the most part. Like a cat or a dog, you can win against everybody at your job. Nobody at the job like you. And then you come home and your dog licking you. That's why people do that. So you got to use your creativity or create creativity that will entertain you. A lot of women, they start becoming thoughts because they don't like being by themselves. So they figure, well, I'll just give them some to get those guys to come to their apartment, to their house, so on and so forth. No, you got to learn how to be by yourself. Because what you'll do, what a lot of women do, is So they won't be by themselves. They'll deal with guys they don't even like. And over time, I don't care what nobody say, when a woman don't like you, it's going to be conflict no matter what. It's going to always be some type of criticism that leads to it. It's going to always be conflict. That's why you got to learn how to entertain yourself. And when you know how to entertain yourself, you ain't going to try to have people you don't like, or they don't like you, or they always trying to change you, trying to instruct you when you don't need to be instructed. You ain't going to deal with people like that because you fine by yourself. See how that works? So that's why I say that's the first thing. You either use creativity to entertain yourself, or you create creativity. You start doing things, start collecting things, have hobbies, have places. You be like, okay, I want to try this restaurant, and go in there by yourself. Go in there by yourself. You got to be willing to go to the movies by yourself. You got to hang with yourself. That's how you going to break that. You hang with yourself. And if you see other people, like couples and stuff, think nothing of it. And sometimes you got to think negative thoughts to keep your mind level and balanced. Like, you can be like, I bet they don't even get along like that. I'm comfortable being by myself. I mean, that'll keep your mind from now you trying to force stuff. You know, so the next thing is you gotta love yourself. You gotta love yourself. And don't be a person that pretend like they love themselves. You gotta really love yourself. What about you do you like the most? It's gotta be something. Next thing, you never define yourself and how you feel about your life by what other people do and say. You gotta understand that these people don't know how to love. They don't know how to treat people. So if you relying on them, you ain't gonna know how to treat yourself. You ain't gonna know how to treat yourself. The next thing, you gotta be willing to cut people off and still travel and still, like I say, go to the movies. Like, don't deal with people on a regular that don't treat you right. Forget them. Like, distance yourself from them. Another thing is the people who do treat you right, if you spend time with other people, hang with them. Some of y'all got a cousin that always respected you, always liked you, and you'll never hang with him. You trying to hang with a bunch of dudes that be talking behind your back. You know, making a joke, trying to make you out of a joke. Man, forget them. If you're going to hang with somebody, hang with the person who want to hang with you. Like, I remember, like, I always talk about this. And I'm going to do a part 2 to this. But there was this guy. When I first met him, like, he wouldn't look at you. You couldn't hear him talk. Like, he talked real quiet. Like this dude when I was working at Tumbleweed. But I noticed, man, this dude cool. He be showing me respect and stuff. So, well, we'll come back. Well, give me a second. We'll come back to it. We're going to finish this part 2 coming up.